we want to thank Heidi for her crafts. I enjoyed that, even though I'm not making any crafts, but now I've got to find some t-shirts to practice on before I, like I said, tear up my my camp shirts. And we will go ahead and get started with Nicholas when he's ready. I see, looks like he's got most of his pots and pans, Cool Whip, vanilla wafers.
Not filled up.
Around like you.
I did a screenshot of your recipe, Nicholas, so I have it.
Is anybody making this along with me, or y'all just watching?
Just
I want
watching.
to see how you put together. I don't have a big family to feed.
Just watching.
And you'll be recorded, so at least we can go back and review it and make it along with you later. So if anybody has questions while we're going through, just holler at Nicholas, or I'll read the questions in the comments and let him know. But otherwise, I'm not sure how easy it is for him to, how close he is to the computer. So, but have at it, Nicholas.
So this is my grandmother's recipe for banana pudding. This is the recipe that I grew up with. And until I started singing, I didn't know that people ate cold banana pudding. I didn't know that was a thing. We always ate it hot. We cooked the custard on the stove, poured it over the bananas and the cookies, and it didn't have time to get cold. But I found that it's easier, for me, it's easier to make it ahead of time and serve it cold. But because a lot of people, I like meringue, whereas some singers in Alabama call it calf slobber, because that's what it looks like. But some people don't like calf slobber, so I use Cool Whip, because Cool Whip in the South is its own food group. Everybody likes Cool Whip. So, 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and I said mixing bowl, but I thought later I just mix this all in the saucepan that I've got, so you won't have to use the mixing bowl. 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Got everything all pre-measured and everything. 2/3 of a cup of sugar. A little bit of salt. Get all the lumps out of it. Three beaten eggs. If you were gonna make it hot, you reserve the egg yolk, the egg whites, and make meringue. And we're not gonna be that fancy. 3 cups of milk. Let me put that in first. 3 cups of milk. Any questions thus far? Comments, concerns, complaints?
Somebody is asking, should the flour be pre-salted?
No,
You could pre-salt it.
Pre-sifted.
Pre-sifted.
Pre-sifted. Oh, it doesn't have to be, no. It doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't make much of a difference, but it won't hurt anything, but you do what you feel in your heart is right. So beat your eggs in.
Nicholas,
Why
did you say you wouldn't use the egg whites? Because it was.
So the egg white, you separate the egg yolks from the whites to have if you're gonna make meringue.
Right, and what? Oh, a meringue for another dish, or a meringue for
meringue for if you were going to serve it hot, you would ordinarily make the custard, layer your cookies and your bananas in a dish, pour the custard over it, and then put the meringue on top and put it in the broiler and let it brown on top. But since we're not going to do that, so then you're going to cut up your bananas. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
I can lower there we go. 3 bananas. How thick you want them, how thick you cut them depends entirely on how thick you want them. Henry McGuire always tells me I don't put enough bananas in them, so I like to cut them real thin. That way you get enough banana in all your bites. I got chastised one time at County Line for not having enough banana in the pudding, so I make sure to cut them pretty thin so we're not skimping on bananas.
My brother goes to college at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and he was out at a restaurant with some of his friends one time, and he overheard these old Southern ladies talking about banana pudding, and somebody said, "In my banana pudding, there's bananas in every bite."
That's what's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And I layer, when I take it for singings, I layer it. But ordinarily, the way my grandmother always served it, it was just a whole box of vanilla wafers on the bottom, 3 bananas over it, and then custard in the custard over it. Like I said, we stirred it up. It didn't have time to get cold, but I had never had banana pudding served cold until I went to a singing.
Do you
And I
remember,
like it either way. It doesn't matter to me.
do you remember where you first had it cold?
I don't, but hot banana pudding will always be comfort food. That's just.
Every time I ask you this, I get a different answer. So I'm going to ask you this time.
What?
How did you get started cooking for singing, or do you even know?
How did I get started cooking for singing? Well, I sing in West Alabama primarily, and when I first started singing, some of the older cooks started getting to where they couldn't cook, or some of the older folks started dying. And I have been to singings where there wasn't enough to eat. And any of you who have been to a singing that I cook for know that I tend to panic cook and cook a little bit more than I probably need to. But my philosophy is this: I would much rather take food home from a singing and have to eat on it for a week than people leave my singing and go, I didn't have enough to eat. So my mother and her family, this is from my mother's side of the family, are wonderful cooks. And so I learned from watching them. And I was manager at a grocery store for 3 years, and I have a whole packet of recipes that as older ladies would come through my line at work, I would ask what they were making, and they would tell me, and they'd give me the recipe. So I have a whole stack of those. I have a whole stack of recipes from singers, and I'm all the time looking in magazines or on Facebook for something I could make for singing. So it was just, I kind of saw the need to do it, and I never really started cooking until I was 19 or 20, I guess. But to me, cooking is a love language. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I can feed people, and that makes me feel like I've done something. So,
If y'all just
Amen.
okay, so we're gonna move this over here, David, so I can see I
Okay.
can see me.
If you-
Now we're gonna
how much cooks come to Alabama and sing with us when we get
do
back.
what?
I said, if y'all want to see just how much you cook, then y'all come to Alabama and sing with us.
When we have singing at Gun Pond, I cook I make the menu about a month before, and I start with about 20 dishes. I write down about 20 dishes. That way, when the morning of the singing gets there and I'm ill and tired and moody, I can go, I'm not going to cook that. I'm not going to cook that either. So I usually end up with about 14 dishes. But all right, now we're gonna cook. I gotta figure out Karen's stove. This one. I changed. Medium. Yeah. So you're gonna cook this over medium heat, and you gotta keep it stirred, because if you don't, it will burn, and you'll have these lovely brown flakes in your custard, and you'll have everybody wondering what crunchy stuff you put in your custard. While I'm stirring, any questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
I have a little.
I have a question. My name's Meg. I'm in Sydney, Australia. Hello, thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
for your hospitality. I was wondering, when you're talking about cooking 14 dishes, do you go for large quantities of those 14 dishes, or is it more important to have a variety of several things, but smaller quantities?
I try to do a variety. I was always taught anything that you make for singing needs to feed at least 8 people. But the bigger quantities you can make, the better. If you want to do like a vegetable, make, roasted vegetables, that'll make a lot, mashed potatoes, something like that, you don't have to put a whole lot of effort to, but it'll make a lot. But I try to do 2 or 3 meats, sides, and then desserts. And when I take to a regular singing, this is just me. Like I always tell people, do not try to go broke cooking for a singing. People will understand. But I try to take a meat, a side, and a dessert. Sometimes 2 sides if I'm feeling froggy, but usually just a meat, a side, and dessert. But and a lot of times I just cook out of what I have in the cabinet. I'll throw something together and call it a day. So it just depends. But cooking in bulk is great. Yeah.
I have an Alabama story about banana pudding. I you know how grocery stores put things together to make you things you need together. I never, in the North, we never see the vanilla wafers displayed next to the bananas. But in Jasper, that's how they do it at the Walmart. I was amazed.
I thought that was the only reason there were wafers, vanilla wafers to begin with, was because I've never had vanilla wafers any other way but in pudding. I have eaten them by themselves. It's good.
Yeah, I'm the same. Nicholas. I've never had them any other way, and it seems odd. Of course, Nicholas and I have a difference in opinion about hot versus cold banana pudding that we just learned a couple weeks ago.
I don't know that I know this. Inform me. I don't know. Have we talked about this? I don't know.
Well, maybe I was in your other class, and maybe I didn't tell you. No, I am of the cold banana pudding upbringing.
Me too.
Those bananas need to be brown.
I do not. If the banana has a spot on it, I will not eat it. And since you make it, I want them yellowy green. I want them just ripe enough to get out of the peel. But since it's hot and you're pouring the custard over it, it doesn't matter how brown it is. It's gonna get them nice and soft anyway. So it doesn't matter how. Okay. But don't give me a spotted banana. You can keep those all you want to.
I always like it after it sits for a day and then those wafers get kind of.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's always better the next day, as is with most things. But yeah, spotted banana. Keep your spotted bananas for banana bread. My great grandfather used to eat them black. They would wait until the banana turned completely black, and that's how he ate it. And I think that's the nasty idea. Do you eat them like that? Oh.
Dick.
No,
Let me hear my green banana people. Let me hear my green
What?
bananas.
Okay, what?
Green bananas.
Thank you, Jesse and Lauren. The green bananas just have a better taste to me.
It's just me. He's the weirdo. He's the weird brown banana person. I'm the normal green banana person.
Tastes rotten to me. I don't know what it is. But
Well,
anyway.
tell Jesse that when your kids get older, he'll never get a banana because everybody eats them before they're the right ripeness. In my family, while the kids were growing up, I never got a banana because they'd always eat them all when they were green.
They're not sweet till they have a little brown spots.
Exactly.
Yeah, brown spots is good. That's perfect. For
Sam,
cakes and pies, it's black. They should be black for breads and
you barbarians can keep your black bananas. I'm gonna eat my green bananas and be happy. Sam, I am honored as being the dessert connoisseur that you are, that you joined this class. I appreciate your presence.
Oh, I'm proud to be here.
I found out today, I asked Mother's sister, I don't know how long my grandmother's had this recipe, but it is actually the vanilla cream pie filling recipe from the Betty Crocker cookbook. That's where she got it and adapted it into banana pudding form.
But actually, I think when I was growing up, that is what my grandmother used. And and then she would pour the vanilla pudding like custard thing warm over the bananas, and then the banana flavor would go throughout the custard or pudding, whatever. That's what she did. Nicholas, I remember asking you at the Tennessee, when we were singing at Tennessee in 2019 with Justin and David and whatever.
Yes,
I remember asking you, what did you cook today? And do you remember what your answer? What did you bring today? And you remember what your answer was?
I've slept since then, and I have no idea.
Your answer was, what didn't I bring is more the question.
Oh, that was probably one of the years where I felt like I cooked everything in the kitchen sink.
So Nicholas, how long are you cooking that custard? What are you waiting for?
Just come again one more time.
How long are you cooking the custard? What are you waiting till you think it's done?
Till it thickens up. It's just
Okay.
about to be as thick as I want it, but yeah.
My Grandma Williams, it was when it coated a silver spoon.
Well, that works too. I'm one of those cooks. Like the women before me. I kind of cook by feel, so I look at it and see when it's done. But when it's thick enough to suit you, then it's ready to come off the stove.
Okay.
My aunt Wilda used to make it hot with the meringue, and hers was it looked like banana soup. I mean, she didn't give it hardly no time. I think she just got the custard hot. I don't think she let it thicken up any, but everybody liked it. But it was like it was kind of watery, soupy, but it was good.
I'm impressed you're actually making a custard. I've made banana pudding twice, and I used, boxed pudding.
I'm not going to hate on anybody that makes it out of a box, because at least you're trying. But I have to have, this is what I grew up on. It just doesn't taste right unless it's made like Grandma did. It's almost ready to come off the stove.
Did your grandma give you permission to share this recipe with everybody?
Well, my grandmother's dead, so I don't think she cares.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I don't imagine the women. I mean, I told my mother and my aunt that I was doing this, so I don't imagine I'm going to be. I don't think they're going to put out a warrant or anything, but I gave it away at Camp Doe, so.
Sid wanted to give, Sid, right? Sid Caldwell.
Yes.
He wanted to give me an apple cake recipe, but he would not give it to me until he checked with the woman who gave it to him first to make sure it was okay to share it. I'm like, oh, we all like to share recipes, don't we?
Hold on, David. Hold on. Karen reminded me. Okay, now you cooked the custard. I've got a tablespoon or a little bit more because I'm Southern and I love butter. Put the butter and about a teaspoon of vanilla flavor. Like I said, I don't measure a lot. It's probably more than a teaspoon. And just mix it in until the butter melts. Thank you, Karen.
You're right, Donna, that most Southern people and people in general will share recipes, but there's one recipe that Nicholas hasn't managed to get. Good heart.
The only recipe I have ever been told I was not allowed to get, and she said it with much regret and sadness in her voice, was Linda Paul's coconut cake.
My grandmother's coconut cake that she takes to Liberty and every other singing that she goes to.
So now we're gonna assemble the pudding, and this was my. He's bringing it up here. We're moving.
It's nice to have these guys helping you out, isn't it?
Yes, this is my camera crew. They're doing such a good job. They were kind enough to let me take over their kitchen. This was my grandmother's banana pudding bowl. This is the only thing I ever remember eating this out of. This is the only thing I ever remember this being cooked in. And this was my sister got it, beat me to it actually, when we were cleaning up my grandmother's house. So I had to promise to be very careful with it and not to let anything happen to it. So.
Do you have to give it back to her?
I do have to give it back to her, but she doesn't make banana pudding. So I'm like, I don't know why she has it, but nostalgia, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, that's for different. Open up, these are my lovely Aldi vanilla wafers. Brand is not that, there are very few things I am picky on brand. There are some, but these taste just as good as vanilla wafers, and they're from Aldi and they're $1.59. So.
What are you picky about brand, Don?
Do what?
Then what are you picky about brand?
I have to have Hershey's cocoa powder. I have to have Nestle chocolate chips, and I have to have Philadelphia cream cheese. That's just all there is to it.
Yes. Nothing
What's your
better.
favorite mayo then?
Do what? Dukes.
What?
Do you have to have Duke's?
Dukes.
It's hard to
never
get
heard
in
of it.
Michigan.
It's Southern.
Oh, it's
It doesn't have
southern.
it doesn't have as much sugar in it. Okay, so now we're gonna layer the pudding. See if we can get it. So you can crush your cookies, you cannot crush your cookies. It doesn't matter. It's just a preference. I'll kind of do half and half. My hands are clean. I washed them, I promise. They don't have to be real small pieces, just, get some in there. Then do half of your bananas. And to get them, if they stick together, that's all right. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's all going to the same place. But you want them to get lay kind of flat anyway. Cover most of the cookie. That way you can't see I've never tried to layer it in this bowl, so y'all just bear with me. It might not layer as good, but we're gonna try it.
I have faith.
So this is how we would have served it. This is how we would have eaten it growing up, only it would have been all the custard at one time. And then it would have been all of that together. She wouldn't have done it with just.
You would have crushed all the cookies and then put in all the bananas and then all
Yes.
the custard?
Yes, we never layered it. I usually, and I'll show y'all in a minute. I've got another one made. We're gonna put Cool Whip on. But I prepped today just for y'all. So David and Karen have to eat 2 banana puddings for us to heart.
Yay! Yay!
So Nicholas, if you were putting a meringue on this, I know we're not today, but if you were going to make this with meringue, would you bake that glass bowl for a meringue?
It's Pyrex, so you probably could. And you wouldn't have to. I mean, you just put it under the meringue under the broiler, is what I would do, and it wouldn't just long enough to brown the top because everything's already cooked in it. So you would just need to get the meringue turned.
Did you use that particular Pyrex bowl in your memory? Is that the way people did it in that bowl?
No, it was usually in like a Corningware dish.
Okay, I feel better.
This was the only. I mean, my grandmother never. I don't ever remember my grandmother taking this anywhere. This was just when we got together to have a family get together or play ball or whatever. My aunts inevitably ended up in the kitchen making this homemade Reese cups or cornflake squares. So then you pour the rest of that.
You could use a kitchen torch if you really didn't want to.
Yes, you could be all fancy, or you could just use a big lighter. That works too. If you're just really, really patient. But so this is how we would have served it and eaten it hot. Let me wash my hands and I'll get the color. Any questions?
I think we're yakking at you as you do it.
No. Here comes K-Ring with this is the cold one.
Oh, Valerie, there you go.
This is what I serve. This is my banana pudding bowl. This is what I take banana pudding in. Let me clean my spatula. And I lied to y'all by accident. You only actually need 8 ounces of Cool Whip, not 16, but in my experience, you can never have enough Cool Whip.
Amen.
And I was told, it has been informed to me over the years that people in Europe don't have Cool Whip, and I feel so sorry for you because of that. But whipping cream will also work. Just use the real stuff.
Whipping cream is the kind of stuff that'll take your arm off if you do it right. You don't whip cream with an electric egg beater. You use a whip and whip the cream.
Well,
And now
and
you just,
if you're making it in the morning and taking it to a singing later, Cool Whip will hold up a lot better.
Well,
yes.
that is
Well,
true.
and sometimes, usually I make it for a singing. I know there's going to be a refrigerator, and if I make it early enough in the morning, I refrigerate it hot. So, like if the one I made here, I would put this in the refrigerator until I got ready to go to singing, and I would take the Cool Whip with me. And then at lunch, before lunch, I would just put the Cool Whip on. If you put it on now, it's going to get hot and melty and nasty.
Right.
But
no, I used whipped cream actually. Whoever spoke up there, I used whipped cream at a singing a couple of years ago, and I fixed it in the morning. It was fine when it was lunchtime. It didn't separate, and it was nice and fluffy.
so now you don't have to do this, but I always make it, looks all pretty and appetizing and all those things if you decorate it. So, and mine's got, the reason I use this bowl is because it's got the ridges. So I alternate cookie in the dips. So there's ridge, cookie, ridge, cookie.
That's what you're doing. I thought you were gonna crush that on the top.
You can't, sometimes, here, I'll show you what I'll do in a minute. I ain't quite done yet. Put some in the middle. Barrett, you got any more questions? I know you're full of them.
No, I don't.
No.
Well, you want me to come up with something? Don't say that.
Well, and here's the part, Donna, where you could sprinkle some on top and get it all in the empty spaces.
You could. I think. Do you do that usually? Because I think your arrangement of the whole cookies looks nice.
Usually I don't crush any on top. That's why I put the cookies, but you can, it doesn't matter.
My husband tends to like the crushed stuff on the top. So
well,
I do that a lot for him, but I think your presentation without the crumbles is really good. Yeah.
That's banana pudding, hot and cold.
Had I been there with you, Nicholas, I could have run over those.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that story. Was that with the Oreos?
Yes.
What were we making? Dirt cake?
We were making holy
I bet you were.
Oh, we were making holy smoke at camp, which is, for people who don't know what holy smoke is, it's crushed Oreo cookies, layers of crushed Oreo cookies, chocolate pudding, and Cool Whip with and I put with chocolate sauce on top. That's a Creole creation. That's one of the Creole sisters' dishes. Well, rather than us beating on them with books or whatever, we put them in a Ziploc bag and put them under the wheel of Barrett's wheelchair, and he ran back and forth over them. So that was Barrett's contribution to Dinner on the Grounds, crushing up the cookie. Barrett is our unofficial cookie crusher. Any other questions about anything else, banana pudding or otherwise, while I go wash my hands?
Lauren, you're muted. You're still muted.
I was saying I would like to see a cooking show with Nicholas and Barrett, where Nicholas cooks and Barrett asks questions, and it's like half cooking show, half like fresh air interview. You tell Sacred Harp stories. I mean, we could do this weekly. I'm just throwing it out there.
That sounds amazing.
Well,
I think we
Barrett
have
kinda-
enough stories for the two of us.
Yeah.
Barrett and his dad kind of already have that going on YouTube. You just add Nicholas to your team.
Yeah, have
Barrett.
Nicholas as a guest one of these weeks.
Perfect.
Oh,
Nicholas, I have photos of 2 different banana puddings I took to singings. May I show them?
yes, please do.
All right. I know this is not very good, but there's one, and that it is, bought boxed pudding. And then I bought Cool Whip and I put it in one of those squeeze bags, and that's how
Yes.
I got that. And then the other one the following year is similar. But
I remember seeing one of them, but I don't remember which one it was.
oh, you weren't. This was in the Seattle area. And
I know,
then
but I remember seeing pictures of it.
oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I take that back. And then
That's
here's
the one I'm
another
thinking of.
one. I see. I don't have a trifle. I haven't committed to a trifle bowl yet, but I do have this pedestaled glass thing. And oh, I didn't. In the previous picture, there were Oreos all around, out the outside on the plate. And then this is vanilla wafers, and I got bold and also used ginger snaps.
I
And
remember that now.
really good. And I had them in separate places so people who didn't think that ginger snaps were appropriate didn't have to have any. So anyway, it was fun. It was really fun to put together. And I definitely totally got inspired from coming south and seeing vanilla, seeing banana
And this pedestal bowl is most of what I own comes from the thrift store. I'm a thrifter, and this is a thrift store bowl. And no one, I could have lied to y'all and told y'all it was this really was my grandmother's. I'm not lying. This really was. But this I thrifted. I could have lied and told y'all this was my great grandmama's, but it's not. But it's pretty anyway. But this is the only thing I use that for is banana pudding.
We just all wish we could have some.
Woo, we're so excited to eat. This is dinner tonight.
That's when you find the Zoom limitations, is when there's food involved. We've had these beautiful family birthday parties. Everybody feels so together and cozy on Zoom. And then the real cake gets brought out and only a few people get it.
Well, me and Karen and David will think of you all fondly while we're gorging ourselves on banana pudding tonight.
Wait, aren't you gonna eat it in front of us like they do on all those cooking shows? Come on.
I guess we could.
I think
And
we
they
should.
say all those nice things about it.
There you go.
What's the name of those kind of videos where you watch people eat? Mukbang. Mukbang.
AMSR.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Notice you didn't have to twist David's arm real hard.
How fast we started moving. I want to warm.
I do too. See, the cookies are nice and soft, and
Don't even talk about it. I'm already thinking. Now it's 7:30, and this is our first dinner here.
yeah, this is
not
our
dessert, so take that into account.
Proud of you.
anything is a main dish if you try hard enough.
David,
I have to try the cold as well as the hot.
Do what?
Who always says go to the dessert table first? Sam, is that you?
Yes. Yes.
He doesn't just go to the dessert table. He fills the plate at the dessert table. I mean, that's.
It's not like he just kind of goes and views and kind of admires. No, he loads up. That's good.
Did you say, Nicholas, that the warm pudding, eating it warm like that is a Southern thing, or that's the only way you knew it?
That's just how we always ate it. My grandmother never made the meringue. I mean, it never got as far as that. I mean, this boat, and usually she doubled it because at one point with my mother's immediate family, siblings and grandchildren, there was about 60 of us. My grandmother would double it and have it in this bowl, and sometimes it would spill into another one. But so she would have to make enough to feed all those people.
A meringue is just like something artificial on the top of something real, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
When you say that.
It's kind of setting you up. It's kind of setting you up for what's on the bottom. It's like, this is pretty. Let's get to the good stuff.
We need David and Karen to try them both so we can find out which is the winner.
Yes.
We will.
We can.
We will do that for you.
Give him a second to finish that one. He ain't made it through that one.
This is delicious. Sorry, you guys.
You thought it was fun to see it made? It's wonderful.
It's delicious.
And I agree with Nicholas on the bananas. You gotta have them, no spots.
Because for the
spots.
pudding anyway, because to me, they're already, if you got them spotted, they're already soft. And then when you put the pudding over them, they soften more.
Absolutely. No
If they're
spots.
firm, you know, I couldn't, with this, I couldn't tell you if they were, well, I could too, because I'm just that picky about them, but, all right, I'll take some. Karen's taking one for the team and having some cold banana pudding. You mean just
So you have to have more than one spoonful, but that just gets the Cool Whip,
Yeah, that's
right? Isn't that right,
Exactly.
Nicholas?
indeed.
You guys to look at this. Oh my goodness gracious.
Now he's just taunting you. I hope you know that.
See, I already know Nicholas is a great cook.
It would have, Karen, it would have been even more torture if you had said you were going to make sweet potato cobbler. So thank you for not doing that.
All right,
Sweet
Nicholas.
potato
how about
cobbler.
it?
Oh,
I have not made sweet. That is
been
one.
here all afternoon.
That is one dish I have not made yet. Oh, but since I told David this in memory of Joan Aldridge, I'm going to tell this story that Joan didn't know about. Joan went to her death not knowing this. Several years ago, she came up to me at the Decoration Singing at Liberty, which is the first Sunday in June. And her singing at Johnson Schoolhouse is the second weekend in June. She came up to me sitting on alto and said, I have a question. I said, yes, ma'am. No, it was a request. I have a request. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you made a ancient food cake for the Ike Memorial, and it was delicious. And I want you to make one for Johnson Schoolhouse. And those of you that know Joan know that two things you said didn't say to Joan were no and you're wrong. Those were not two things I was about to say to Joan Aldridge. So I said, yes, ma'am, because I did not make that angel food cake. That I don't know who she was thinking made it, but it was not me. So I went home the next week and I learned how to make homemade angel food cake. And you better believe that I brought a homemade angel food cake to Joan Aldridge at Johnson Schoolhouse, and I had to make one every year. But Joan never knew that was not my angel food cake, and I still don't know who made it, but it wasn't me.
Would it have been Eloise before she died?
I don't know if it was Eloise. It might have been Eloise's, but Eloise used the box mix. But it was still good.
What kind of cake? Say it slower, Nicholas.
Do what?
Angel food.
Your southern accent was getting in my way of hearing. Understand.
Angel.
I ain't got no accent. I don't know what you're talking about.
You ain't got an accent.
Angel food cake.
Oh, angel food cake?
Yes.
Angel
It takes
food
a
cake?
Yeah.
it takes a dozen egg whites. It's
Nicholas,
wrapped.
I
If you're
know,
making-
it's an easy cake to make. I made it for my kids all the time.
if you're making your homemade angel food cake, Nicholas, what do you do with all of those egg yolks?
Make omelets for supper.
Really?
No, you make a
Okay.
chiffon cake.
Or you could make an egg custard.
Or custard, yeah.
Shall we vote on which of the?
Yes.
Or a banana.
Yes, you can vote.
I'll
No
abstain.
question. No
That's
question. The warm.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
it
like
probably,
we grew up with too, though.
but it was
That's
probably,
Yeah.
if the Cool Whip on top dilutes the banana pudding. So we had to get through the Cool Whip. But the cold one's still good. But I'm gonna go with the warm all the way.
Did Mama
That's all. This I just call it old timey banana pudding because that's what we grew up with too. Was the hot.
But
Good. They're both
whenever
good.
it's singings, it's always going to be the cold, right? Probably.
Easier to take it cold.
Well,
Not always.
Not
It's kind of
necessarily if you're cooking, then you just show up for
Carolyn.
lunch.
Carolyn Thompson always makes it hot. Carolyn Thompson makes a very good banana pudding. She's always makes meringue. But the only reason, and I don't have a problem with meringue, but the people in West Alabama call it calf slobber. They don't like it. And the reason they call it calf slobber is because for all intents and purposes, that's what it looks like. If you've ever seen it, that's exactly what it looks like. And now that I've ruined a meringue for most of everybody on this Zoom call, you're welcome.
I have a friend that calls it peach fuzz. And she doesn't want it on her anything, on any pie or pudding.
I mean, it's just egg whites and sugar. It ain't. It's just air.
Is there something, Nicholas, that you're afraid to try to cook?
There's something that I'm afraid to try to cook. Well, I've always said I'll try to cook anything once. I'm trying to think of something that I have cooked that was just an absolute unmitigated disaster that I won't try again. Oh, I tried, and I made it before and I don't know what happened. I made a grits casserole for Gum Pond in July. And I don't think I cooked it long enough because it was beautiful when I got it out of the oven. It had paprika on it and it was lovely. But when I got it out of the casserole carrier to put it on the table, it was kind of this murky brownish gold looking color because all the paprika had kind of dissolved. And I don't think I had left it in the oven long enough to firm up because it was kind of soupy. It tasted good, tasted fine. It didn't look very good though. So I'm gonna give it, that was kind of one of those things, several people come up to me and went, what is that? And that's one thing you never want someone to ask when you make something for singing, what is that? So I'm gonna try it again, but I'm gonna wait and let that memory fade from people's minds and try it again. It was pitiful.
You know, it's Jim Fow in Minnesota, and I'm reminded of Julia Child's comment that you should never announce what your dish is until it's being served because it might change.
Exactly. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I was going to give one tip when you do get brown spots in your custard. I've not had a problem with custard, but I have with lemon curd from time to time. And what I do when I get that is just stick it in the blender. And the blender pulverizes all the little black spots. And people probably don't notice them. And if they do, you just tell them it's a little caramelized sugar and let it go at that.
I'll have to remember that. I'm trying to think. Anybody else have any questions? Dinner on the grounds related or banana pudding related or?
Did you already say what dish you're most proud of ever making?
I'm gonna sit down now because I can. I was rather proud of the angel food cake because that was hard for me. Like I said, the first one I made looked like somebody sat on it. So what else? Oh, my great grandmother's chicken and dumplings. I've mastered those and I make those a lot, and I'm rather proud of those. Any family recipe like the banana pudding, any family recipe that I can get down pat and that has my grandmother's approval or family members' approval, that's always a big deal to me.
Well, Amber Davis and I would say you should be most proud of chocolate pie.
I forgot. That's one recipe I have not, I don't know that I've given that chocolate pie recipe to anybody. Oh, that's not true. I gave it to Colleen Jones. So if y'all want it, give it, and she likes it. So, but Primitive Baptist Deacon's wife gave that recipe to me forever and ever ago. And that has become Barrett's and Amber's most requested dessert. And David Light. I'm not allowed to show up to a singing that they're at without a chocolate pie. So, and it also calls for meringue for that, but I don't make it for that either. So, for the same reason. Anybody else?
What's your favorite thing to eat that you cook?
Oh Lord. Whatever I'm cooking at the moment. I like, you have to sample. You have to quality control. You have to make sure whatever you're cooking is good. My favorite thing to eat. I don't know. I like dumplings pretty good, but the only time that I put chicken in my dumplings is when I take them to singing. I don't like shredded chicken in anything. And so when I cook them, I don't put chicken in it. I just cook the chicken to make the broth. But dumplings. I don't know. I'm rather critical of I'm like most Southern cooks. I'm rather critical of most things that I make. So I'd rather eat stuff that other people make.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas, I really enjoy when you post pictures of what you make.
Oh, thank you.
Nicholas, this is Tom. I have a question. What other kinds of meats do you make besides chicken and dumplings?
I cook pork loin a lot. I'll cook it in the oven with some, I like to cook it in apple juice, apple cider. I'll do that. I'll do, what all have I done? A ham, just buy a side of ham at your deli and do that up with pineapple and brown sugar and I try to find out what the people I cook for most will eat, and I don't mind cooking the same thing over and over again because there's no use cooking it if they're not, they're not going to eat it. If you know they're going to eat it, then take it. I do a chicken broccoli rice casserole with chicken breasts on top that I cook a lot. Pork loin usually is my go-to because I keep one in the freezer at all times, just in case I don't know what to cook. I can just thaw it out and cook it in the oven or the air fryer. It does very well in the air fryer.
I asked Nicholas if you ever make baked ziti.
I have not. I have a recipe for baked ziti, but I've never made it. Karen has though, and I've had Karen's baked ziti, and it's very good.
Nicholas, on your chicken and dumplings, this is
Yes,
Tammy
ma'am.
from Nashville.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey, do you do drop dumplings or roll
No,
them
ma'am.
out and cut them?
We roll them out. My grandmother, who's banana pudding, she was from Illinois, and some mother's family did drop dumplings, and Daddy's family, who is from Coleman County, they did the rolled out dumplings, and I cut mine. I like them rather thin, and I cut mine with a pizza cutter. It's easier to, kind of like Adi had with the little rotary cutter. It doesn't stick on the dumpling dough as much. But no, we always cut ours out. I like drop dumplings. To me, are kind of like the difference between drop dumplings and rolled out dumplings are kind of like the hot and cold banana pudding. Drop dumplings will always be comfort food. But if I want dumplings, I want the flat dumplings. But that's just personal preference.
So Nicholas, you said that you usually take a dessert aside and the main dish. So give us an example of what, like 3 you might take the same day.
So I cook like a pork loin. I do Brussels sprouts a lot, roasted Brussels sprouts, and a cobbler, a pie, a custard, a pie. I try to keep things on hand that I can don't have to give too much thought about until the night before and think, well, what can I thaw out, or what can I, what's in my pantry that I can do? What casserole can I throw? Corn casserole. I keep a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix on hand. Corn casserole. It's a box of that, a can of cream corn, a can of whole kernel corn, sour cream, cheese, salt and pepper. I think that's it. Maybe a little bit of milk if it's not thick enough. And you just whip that up and grease a baking dish, bake it at 350 for about half an hour. Anything can be a casserole if you try hard enough.
Is it 2 hours, Nicholas, that you've told me before that usually is your limit for if I have to go more than 2?
If I have to drive more than 2 hours, unless there's an extenuating circumstance and I need help with food, then I don't cook. But
You're not talking about taking food, that much food. How you get it used.
Karen's asking me about transport. I didn't bring any of my carrying, but I have baskets, carrying totes. I have a set of, my Aunt Glenda always kept a set of singing towels. That's all they were used for. You didn't use them for washing off. That way, if they were stained to beyond repair, nobody going to see it but you. And for my hot stuff, you can wrap cold stuff in it. Wrap it in cold stuff in the cooler, or wrap the hot stuff and put it in a chest or basket. Ice packs are great. I have a carrying bag that has ice packs built into the walls of it. And you just put that whole bag in the freezer and then you can slide your eggs or whatever in there. What else? Oh, let me cover this because someone always wants to know this, and I'm gonna get Karen's opinion on this. Everyone always wants to know what my opinion is on putting out other people's food. Here's my opinion on that. If it's 11:59 and your food is still in the carrier and you're still in the church house, I'm putting your food out because if there's good chance that if I don't, no one's going to, or you're going to get it out. I've seen several people get in there while half the people have already had their food, and then by the time they get their food out, nobody's going to get their dish. So if it's getting close to, if you don't want someone else to put your food out, and you can manage to get in the wherever they're serving lunch, then you get in there and put it out. Otherwise, to me it's free game. What do you think, Karen?
I agree.
Karen agrees.
Because otherwise, it's gonna sit under the table. Nobody eat it.
That's always been a controversial topic in every dinner on the grounds class I've taught. So that's my opinion on it. If you don't want someone else to put it out, then get in there and put it out. Otherwise, it's fair game.
And would you even cut it if you thought it needed cutting?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because if you didn't, people would be mad that nobody ate it.
Because there's no sense in just getting it halfway. If you're going to take it out, you might as well get it ready to serve. And if they don't like how you cut it, then they should have gotten there and cut it.
Nicholas, do you ever deep fry anything?
Oh yeah.
Tell us some of your favorite fried things.
Squash, okra, pork chops, fish,
Fried
tomatoes, fried green tomatoes. We'll fry anything. We'll fried Oreos. I've never took those to a singing, but Lord, they're good. Fried pickles, fried mushrooms. We'll fry just about anything.
You ever fried a pie?
I have. I tried to make fried pies one time and they were an unmitigated disaster. So I'm gonna try them again.
Is this all in the air fryer?
No, this is on the stove in a skillet.
Gotcha.
I've tried one time. I'm gonna have to get some old Southern lady to teach me how, because I tried. That's one dish that if someone asked me what dish, that's a dish that intimidates me because I could do it. I have my grandmother's fried pie recipe, but it's one of those things like dumplings. It takes, you got to get the handle of it. But I love fried pies. That's a work in progress.
Do you make biscuits? I can't remember if you do.
Oh yes. Buttermilk. I don't like whole. I don't know if I've had a whole milk biscuit.
Buttermilk all the way.
If I have, it wasn't worth eating, but I didn't say that out loud. I just meant to think it. No, buttermilk biscuits.
I watched a guy render pork grease. Am I saying that right?
That was my dad and I.
That was your dad? He was rendering and I thought, oh my gosh. And I watched the whole video and then it was Biscuits after, right?
That was my dad and I.
Yeah.
I actually received a jar of that pork lard and I made tamales out of it and it was very good.
That was a show. I was like, where is that now? I want to watch that again.
Anything else, guys? Thank y'all for watching and suffering through me and David and Karen eating in front of you.
Especially for the eating.
Yeah.
I would totally watch you deep frying pork chops and okra and other things, and then watching you and Karen and David eat it.
I think David and Karen would be all right with that.
I
I haven't fried pork chops in a long time.
I do fry pork chops. and
No,
salt.
I want to be there for the next. I want it to be an in-person cooking lesson.
I'd give a donation to Camp Fasola for that.
I just put the link to Barrett and his dad's YouTube channel, so everyone go subscribe to that if you're not already. He's not paying
Well,
me.
and
to do this.
subscribe, but I haven't seen any of your stuff lately, Barrett.
I haven't posted much lately, and I'm mostly there for moral support. I don't cook. But
Well, I know. Your brother, right? You have a brother?
Oh, it's my dad and I. My brother occasionally does filming, but it's mostly just my dad and I.
Okay, is that the Lauren, that's what you just posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we all put enough pressure on him, maybe he will have Nicholas as a guest cook.
Nathan Reese is trying to talk me into making my own YouTube channel, but I told him we'd have to talk about that.
Listen,
Well,
if
she's
the
right.
pink cupcake ladies can do it, you can do
Well,
it, Nicholas.
He told me I should combine telling Southern stories, Sacred Harp and otherwise, with cooking. So we'll see how that goes.
I bet you could make money at that.
Yes.
Nicholas, you're just a young male version of Brenda Gant. Don't you know?
Oh,
Thanks
hey,
for posting that YouTube thing, Lauren.
Do you not know who Brenda Gant is? She's got a Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
no, I don't know who that is.
Oh,
You need
You
to
I think I've heard that name. I'll have to look her up.
Nicholas would be every bit as good as her.
Who?
I mean, I think she's good, but I think you'd be even better. Yeah, you could do it, Nicholas.
Definitely.
Fun.
Well, y'all are sweet.
We'll be your like, what do you call it? Cheering section.
Yep.
Your guinea pigs.
We get a lot of
No, we can't
subscribers.
taste
And
it.
then I'll come be a guest and eat your food too.
you to
I'm
come.
okay with that.
Get you to
I'm
come.
leaving. See you guys.
We'll get you to come do a video with me to test your skills, and then
I know where you live.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Nicholas.
Thank you guys. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you,
Nicholas.
Thank you,
Nicholas.
Nicholas. Thank
For those
you.
of you-
Thank you. That was awesome.
Before you
Thank
all
you very
go, some
much.
of you may have already gone, but I'll say a quick thing. So again, thank you to Heidi and Nicholas. We'll have a survey for you to fill out, like a little review in the next few days. Look for that online. We'll post it in all the places. And don't forget, tomorrow we have our Storytelling Saturday. Some great things coming up there. It'll be posted by 10 in the morning Eastern time. And then Sunday we have some singings for you to dig into from the first few years. So hope you will enjoy and thank y'all for being here for our last of our live Zoom sessions this week. So
Well, thanks,
Thank y'all.
Jonathan.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jonathan.
everyone, for
Jonathan.
coming.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Lauren.
Jonathan,
Thanks,
for doing
David.
so much editing.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Heidi.
Lauren.
Thank
Thank you,
Bye.
Thanks, Nicholas.
see y'all later.
Thank you, Heidi.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
Bye.
Heidi.
Yeah, thank you,
See all
Heidi.
your faces.
Thank
I
you,
miss
Heidi. You were
all.
wonderful.
Oh, I miss you all. It was so fun.
And thank you, Karen and David, for helping Nicholas.
Yes, thank you, Karine and
Yes.
David.
This is
Very
a
much.
great treat for us to have Jonathan here.
Nicholas.
I mean,
I'm gonna go to Ingles and see if I can get some banana pudding.
He's turning me. He's turning into Marlon Beasley.
We just
All
need
right.
to come up with the name for your stories and cooking. Hot gossip. I don't know. I'm thinking about it already.
You gotta get food in the name though too.
We didn't even get into the gossip part.
Oh, hey,
Oh,
I know a lot of things I'm not supposed to know that I have to go to my grave with. So
he knows everything. So, if you want the channel to grow, that's how we get that.
what I don't know, David does.
Yeah, you could have guest spots. You could have a different singer on, like every time you make a show.
You know who we need to get?
I volunteer to
Pam
be
Nunn.
guest.
I want a guest spot with me and Pam Nunn.
Ooh. Wow. Well, definitely take some portraits in front of your special themed vent hood there. Holding your
Yeah, not
holding your
everybody.
pudding.
Robbie's doing.
All right, y'all. Thanks for
Good night.
coming.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys.
Thanks,
Great
guys.
job.
Thank you.
Good night.
So fun. Love you all.
Love you all.